Another E39 M5 video coming your way, guys. If you clicked on this video, you know exactly what we are going to be taking care of, which is going to be the driver's seat, the seat twist issue in the E39 M5. Very quick overview if you're not familiar. These cars, the E39s, are notorious for having a rather simple issue, but something that goes wrong is the motor that leans the seat fore and aft has two cables that go into it, and essentially what happens is one of the cables doesn't get pulled and the other one does. So what happens is I was driving, I'll set the camera up here. So I was driving and I wanted to lean the seat back, so I started pushing the little lever to lean it back, but what happened is only one of the cables was working. So it was slowly pulling one of the sides, and I was facing the A-pillar, and then I put it back. And I've been driving around with a very straight seat to align them. So what happens is, what you have to do is you have to take the seat out, and then you have to reconnect the cable, whichever one happens to be that is not being pulled. So right now, if I lean the seat back, only the left side, so my left hand, the hand that's on the driver's side, will move, but the right side just stays in place. So that means that the right side on my driver's seat is wrong. When I take the seat out, I just have to remember that. It's good that I'm filming it because I can always go back and check that. But essentially all you have to do is take the seat out, pull out the cable, trim it, and then put it back in. It probably takes at least an hour, but we're gonna do that right now. So when I was having this issue, I did research, and what I did was I positioned this back seat so both of the sides were even. Although they are facing way too, it's very like 90 degrees, so it's not that comfortable from a seating perspective. They are at least even with each other. So when I take the seat out and fix the cable, they will be aligned when they actually are both working. So that's a very important factor to remember when doing this. Before you take the seat out and disconnect it, you don't want to reconnect it with them all cockeyed. So you definitely want to do that. The first step, there's really 4 bolts here. We're going to jump right into this here and then unplug the harness and then hopefully take the seat inside. Alright, so I'm trying to get access to the bolts that hold the seat in, which are down here. What you have to do is pop off this little this little insert here, and then also there's a screw that goes through right there. So you just need a Torx bit. So you'll need a Torx T30. It fit perfectly with a long screwdriver to unscrew the base. You don't really need to take this piece out, but you do need to lift it up and kind of lift it up and out. I don't think I broke anything. I will tell you, there's another sort of, don't mind this. This is for the Bluetooth that I haven't put in the trunk yet. That has nothing to do with what we're doing today. There's another, hopefully you can see it, sort of little tab, little insert plastic piece that you can just pry with the screwdriver. Just be very careful that you don't break it. Alright, so I scoot the seat up. Once again, ignore all this, has nothing to do with it. So what I need to do is get to this piece, which I'm just gonna pry up a little bit. Hopefully, so here's a tab. Okay, and then this sits in here. There we go. Alright, so I just tucked it right here, and this, see how this piece sits right there. I'm gonna pull it. There we go. It sounded like something broke, but we're good. So we need to get to this piece. This is what seats the seat, and then there's one over here. There's also a penny, so this car is definitely paying dividends already. Sweet. Try not to scratch it. I'm gonna stick it in the carpet, and then gently, as gently as I can, just like, oh. Alright, so pull it towards you, and everything is intact, so don't worry. This is a very brittle piece right here. It's very thin, so be careful with that. Alright, so these are the bolts that we need to reach. I'm going to scoot the seat all the way back and do the same on the front. Alright, quick update. To get this trim piece loose, which is going to expose this bolt that holds the seat down, there is a little screw that what you have to do is pull this and then put on a ratchet like this, and then you sort of reach in there, and as you can see, that is where the hole is, and that is how I got that one out. That just moves the trim out of the way, and then you're gonna grab a little bit bigger one. Yes, I know, we need a vacuum. That'll happen later, don't worry. And I put a T50 on here, and it looks like this is the right one. There's no play, and we're gonna take this out. So obviously I look like an idiot, but we're learning, and I didn't do enough research, and this is a T50, so there we go. All right, so 4 bolts, which were a little bit of a pain to get to, the front ones, but I'm lifting up the seat here. And actually what I'm going to do before I do anything is lower the headrest, which is very nice. On the M5 it has this little thing here. Headrest is lowered, so I have more room to work around here. And I have no idea where the harness is, because obviously it's plugged in underneath, but I guess I'll just lean it forward and find out. There was a decent amount of information on the forums, okay, so definitely, look at that, look at all those dividends. That's like $1 and change right there. All right, so, oh Jesus Christ. So to undo the harness, you pull this piece out, and then you literally just pull the plug out. So this piece is normally in, pull it to the side, and then this comes right off. And it took me about 10 minutes, because I didn't do my stupid research, but ooh, there's some cables connecting the seat down here, which we'll have to take off. There's just one cable. Hopefully you can see that cable right there. All right, the fun begins. So this cable, ignore the dirt, I know. I put a vice grip there to keep the cable. So the cable has tension, and if you put the vice grip there at the very bottom, it'll ease the tension. Prop the seat up, and hopefully you guys can see. There we go. So essentially this piece is normally wrapped all the way. So this is what this piece looks like. It has this little thing that wraps. This was hard because not a lot of people in the forums were mentioning it. So you just push it off. So flip it around. I know it's hard to see, I'm sorry. But that essentially releases this little pin, which might be simple, but there we go. So that took me about 10 minutes to figure out. And what I'm going to do is keep the vice grips attached, just so it'll be easier to reattach. And what's nice about the M5 is it has a little place for bolts. It's nice that they built that in. That wasn't so bad. I was worried about scratching the crap out of the car. So now we've got a seatbelt to deal with. Alright guys, so we made it inside. I had a hell of a time getting the screws that were 2 on this side, and then also 2 on this side of this motor. I will insert pictures. See where this cable goes in? That is where the 2 screws are on each side. I pretty much had to stick the driver through here and get the screws. They're very, very hard to get to, especially the one over here. I know if you extend the seat, that usually helps, but unfortunately I kind of had a hard time doing that as well, so that is why it took so long. Okay guys, next step. I really hope I'm being helpful, because I know that the videos and information that I used was very, very helpful to get me at least to where I am right now. So as you can see, I unplugged one of the cables for the motor just so I have a little more space, and I unplugged this side because the right side of the driver's seat, I obviously flipped the driver's seat all the way upside, it's totally upside down, so this is still the right side. So obviously there's buttons right here. So we are still working on the right side of the seat, and what happens is this has very little cable at the end, and what happens is this is actually twisted by the motor. So the motor twists this cable, and that's what moves the seat. But this tip is supposed to be much longer, so what we have to do is trim this back and then push this down and then make this stick out maybe like a ½ inch or so, and then put it back, and then it'll be able to grab it once again. Okay, so here is the cable, as you guys just saw. What I did, which I will not show you on camera, which I already did, is all I did was grab a utility knife, cut out about this much of cable, and as you can see, if you slide it down, you have a lot more cable to work with. So essentially what we're going to be doing is putting, honestly, yes, some glue. I'm going to be using duct tape. I know that sounds really janky, but I don't really have anything else, and this is the most sticky stuff I could think of besides the glue, which is vinyl, plastic, and rubber. Vinyl, fabric, and plastic, which should work just fine. A little bit of that as well as tape just to keep it together. All right, so here is how it came out. I know, like I mentioned, you guys might yell at me for using duct tape, but duct tape sticks extremely well to itself. So if you're able to do one wrap and you get it stuck to this, that is going to be perfect. As you can see, I have the wires staying together, and I can can actually press it back in. I press the wire back in there. This seems to be doing just fine. I might just do one more layer, and then I will put it back in the motor and see if it works. Welcome back to the next day. You know what really sucks, Brandon? I don't know, Brandon, what does really suck? When you fix the driver's seat motor, but then you realize that the passenger seat has the same exact issue. And that's when you push the car off of a cliff. And I'm gonna lean it back. So right now it's pretty much even. Look at this side. Look at this side, it's going back and this side isn't moving. So hopefully you can see how even the leather, see how dipped this is. So it's much further back than this. If you get in, this is kind of a normal position, but this is much further back. So that's essentially the twist that everyone is talking about. Guys, as you can see, today is the next day. I gave up filming last night. However, I did fix the seat. The way that I showed you guys was the right way, although it was a lot of trial and error. So I ended up spending well over 3 hours figuring it out. Even just the one bolt, getting one bolt out, it's always that one bolt. I think I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says that one bolt, because it's always one thing or one bolt or one nut that makes the whole project, make or break the whole project from a time perspective. It probably took easily twice as long as it needed to, but I couldn't get one bolt out. And then the little cable to get the seat, that weird little cable that I put those pliers on, I don't really know what that's even for, but it took me probably 25 minutes to figure out exactly how to get that little metal bracket realigned. Put the seat back in the same way you took it out. I would definitely recommend disconnecting the battery before you do anything. Of course, get the seat in a proper position, but what happens is now I have an airbag light, and that's easily cleared. But what happens is when you disconnect the seat and then have the car on, because what I had the seat in and out of the car, and I was moving it and extending it and stuff, so it was helpful to have the car on. But now I have an airbag light, so either be ready to reset that code with just an OBD2, so do that before disconnect the battery, or just have an OBD2 reset thing ready, because now I have a stupid airbag light, which is fine because there's not an issue. It's just the car being confused that the seat wasn't in there when the car, the ignition was on, because I wanted to move the seat around. So with that said, it was something that you can definitely do on your own, but it would help to have someone. When I was putting the seat back in, one of the seat rails scratched the steering wheel, which is of course in really good shape, and now it has a huge gash in it. And I was literally extremely careful. I tried to position the steering wheel up and in, and trying to do everything to make it as smooth as possible. So this is a project that has the potential to consume you. The position of the passenger seat where the one stopped working, actually I think it's the right one. Here, I'll show you exactly what it looks like. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but as you can see, I'm literally leaning like to the left. Like, it would be very uncomfortable for me to sit like this, and that's because this side stays in the same spot and this side goes back. So you're literally like twisting the seat. The seat is being twisted. So thankfully, if you put the left one in line with the right one, which doesn't move, it's in sort of a normal position. It's slightly leaned back. It's not, you know, straight up kind of like the driver's was. And of course you're not driving, so it doesn't really matter. The only thing is if, you know, you go on a trip and, you know, the passenger wants to lay down or something, it's not really gonna happen. I do have a question for you guys. If you are, maybe you're E39 guys, or maybe you're just guys who like older cars, you know, because this is a 13-year-old car, so it has little quirks. I can't get comfortable in this driver's seat even after fixing this, the piece, the motor. My lower back hurts, my leg support, it just never seems to be positioned right. And this seat, it has a lot of options. You know, it has up and down, it has back and forth, you can tilt it, you can press in the lumbar, you can push out the lumbar. I pressed out the lumbar because I felt that it was curving into my back too much, and I don't know what the issue is. I never thought that the driver's seat was that comfortable, but now I just straight out feel like it's uncomfortable, which it's unusable. If I want to daily drive this car and shift, especially because you have to be in a pretty optimal position to shift, press in the clutch and be in a good position, and my back starts to hurt, and I'm driving like 10 minutes. So that is not a good step in the right direction for this M5 for me, and I'm sorry to be Debbie Downer over here, but this is an opportunity for you guys to comment below. If you're still watching, what's your suggestion? I don't know if there's, if you suggest raising the seat up a little bit, or if other people have similar issues and there's a, you know, something you can do. I don't really know what you could do. So yeah, so that's gonna wrap this video up. I will do my very best. This was a project that I am glad I didn't pay someone for, because it would have been hundreds of dollars. And for me, it was free, although it was an entire Saturday night dedicated to manhandling like a 100-pound seat in and out of my place several times and trying to fix this stupid motor. I really hope this helps you guys. If you are interested in fixing it, it's definitely worth a fix. I would definitely recommend having someone help you, and also, you know, lowering the headrest, putting it in a good position to get it in and out of the car, and just being very careful and doing your best to be patient. It was not easy. I want you guys to know that it wasn't easy, but it's done. So we move on. I should admire this Alcantara headliner here. It's very beautiful. So on that note, thank you again for watching. Comment below. Maybe I skipped a few very vital steps. That's definitely possible. I'll know for this seat, I know what to do and what not to do. I probably will make another video regarding this seat. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. And I'll see you next time, guys.